Have you ever heard words so pure, so filled with love, that they stayed with you forever, even though they came from someone whose time on earth was running out? This is the story of a child, small in age but vast in heart, who taught everyone around him what forgiveness truly means. It's not a story you will forget quickly. It's one that will make you pause, breathe, and maybe even rethink how you live your own life. The boy's name was Ethan. He was only 10 years old, a child of laughter, of endless curiosity, and of a smile so bright it could light up a room faster than the switch on the wall. Ethan lived in a small town in Ohio, the kind where neighbors knew each other by name, and where summer evenings were filled with the sound of children chasing fireflies. His parents, Laura and Daniel, adored him. To them, he wasn't just their only child. He was their miracle, born after years of trying and heartbreak. Ethan had dreams as big as the sky. He wanted to be a pilot. Every time an airplane flew overhead, he would stop whatever he was doing, tilt his head toward the sky, and watch until the silver wings became nothing more than a dot. "One day, that'll be me up there," he would say. And his parents would laugh, nod, and tell him they believed him. But sometimes, life doesn't unfold the way it should. Sometimes it throws storms at us when we're least prepared. One summer, when Ethan was just turning 10, he fell ill. At first, it was small things: tiredness, fevers that came and went, bruises that didn't seem to heal. Doctors said it was probably just a viral infection, maybe anemia. But the tests kept piling up, and the answers weren't getting better. Finally, the word no parent ever wants to hear was spoken in a cold, white hospital room: leukemia. Laura collapsed into Daniel's arms when the doctor said it. Ethan sat on the hospital bed, swinging his little legs, not really understanding. He just wanted to go home. He wanted to ride his bike. He wanted to fly his kites. But from that day on, home became the hospital more often than not. Needles replaced pencils. Medicine replaced toys. And yet, somehow, Ethan kept smiling. He kept telling jokes to the nurses, drawing little airplanes on scraps of paper, and comforting his mom when she cried beside his bed at night. But as weeks turned into months, the illness grew heavier. The once energetic boy grew thinner, paler. He no longer had the strength to run, or even to walk across the room without help. And though he never complained, everyone could see the pain behind his eyes. One day, after a particularly difficult treatment, Ethan whispered something to his mother. His voice was weak, but his words carried a weight far beyond his years. "Mom," he said, "I need to tell you something before it's too late." Laura's heart broke at those words, but she listened. Ethan's small hand clutched hers tightly. "There's this boy at school," Ethan began. "His name's Mark. He used to make fun of me. He pushed me once, and I fell. He laughed at me in front of the whole class. I hated him so much. Every time I thought about him, my chest hurt. But Mom, now I don't hate him anymore. I don't want to." Tears filled Laura's eyes. She stroked her son's hair, not sure what to say. "I want you to tell him I forgive him," Ethan whispered. "I don't want him to feel bad when I'm gone. Maybe he was just hurting too, and that's why he hurt me. Can you promise me, Mom? Promise me you'll tell him I forgive him." Laura nodded, unable to speak, tears streaming silently down her face. Her son, lying there with a body so frail, was teaching her about the strength of forgiveness. Days passed, then weeks. Ethan's condition worsened. But he held on to one thing with remarkable clarity: the need to forgive. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, when his father sat by his side, Ethan would whisper again, "Dad, don't forget. Tell Mark. Tell him I forgive him. I don't want him to live feeling guilty." Daniel would nod, biting his lip, his heart shattering into pieces. One autumn morning, with the trees outside turning golden, Ethan's little heart finally grew too tired to go on. He passed away peacefully in his sleep, his hand in his mother's, his last words so soft they were almost a breath. "Don, to forget, to forgive." The house felt unbearably empty without him. His parents couldn't bear the silence, but they remembered his wish. So, 1 week after the funeral, Laura and Daniel found themselves standing on the doorstep of a small house at the edge of town. They knocked, and when the door opened, there stood Mark's mother, surprised to see them. "Is Mark home?" Laura asked softly. Moments later, the boy appeared. Mark was taller than Ethan, rough around the edges, with the nervous look of someone who knew he had done wrong, but never made it right. He stared at Ethan's parents, confused, unsure why they had come. Daniel cleared his throat, his voice shaking. "Mark, we came here to tell you something. Something our son wanted you to know. Before he passed, he asked us to tell you this. He forgave you. He didn't want you to feel guilty. He said maybe you were hurting too, and he wanted you to know he forgave you." Mark froze. His eyes widened, and for the first time, the tough exterior cracked. His lips trembled, his hands shook, and suddenly, tears poured down his cheeks. He covered his face, sobbing, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Laura stepped forward and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. Ethan wanted peace. He wanted you to live free of guilt. That was his last wish. From that day on, something shifted in Mark. He was never the same boy again. He stopped fighting, stopped mocking others, and instead became quiet, thoughtful. It was as if Ethan's forgiveness had carved a space inside him, a space too sacred to ever be filled with cruelty again. Years later, when Mark grew up, he would often tell his friends, and even his own children, about Ethan, the boy who forgave before dying. Forgiveness is not easy. It feels impossible when we are wronged, when we are humiliated, when pain cuts deep. But forgiveness is not about letting the other person win. It's about setting yourself free. Ethan, at just 10 years old, understood this truth better than most adults ever do. His life may have been short, but the lesson he left behind was eternal. And maybe, just maybe, as you listen to this story, you feel a stirring inside your own heart. Maybe there's someone you've been holding a grudge against, someone who hurt you, someone who left scars you thought could never heal. But what if letting go of that anger is the one thing that could set you free? Remember Ethan's words, "Don't forget to forgive." Not because they deserve it, but because your soul deserves peace. So tonight, when you close your eyes, think about who you need to forgive. It won't be easy. It may take time. But if a child could do it, even in the face of death, maybe we can learn to do it too, while we still have life to live, love to give, and skies to dream of. Because forgiveness is not about death. Forgiveness is about choosing life.